Heroes Reborn number 3 from Jason Aaron, and we are focusing on Blur. So Marvel's version of Flash, essentially. You know, I actually liked this issue a hell of a lot more than issue 2. Issue 2 was more Hyperion centric, and this one is more obviously Blur centric. But we get a new villain in this book. Like, we got new villains in Hyperion, but there were so many in Hyperion's issue that you couldn't focus on one, right?
Yeah.
And in this issue, we get Silver Witch, which is basically the Scarlet Witch absorbing Quicksilver after he dies in this in this universe, and so she can make spells really fast, lightning speed spells. And that's really why I liked this issue mostly, was because of her. I like that character a lot. And Jason Aaron continues this idea of, it seems like heroes that were part of the Avengers team or heroes, you know, they know something's off, right? Mm-hmm. And so we get that same thing here with Silver Witch. She basically, you know, while she's doing her bad things in this, you know, being a villain, in the back of her mind, she's like, this isn't right. Like, something's off. And so I am digging that a lot in this Heroes Reborn event. I mean, there's not a lot to grasp onto, I think, but to me, that's the coolest thing in this series.
Yeah, I will say that it's definitely been it was a big peak with issue 1, and there's been a little bit of a slowdown. I do think that if you take it for what it is, so Jason Aaron has his own like email list that he sends out, and he sent out a couple the past couple weeks as these books came out, talking about these and talking about his inspiration and like why he wrote them, and basically he was talking about how like this was his opportunity to do something fun in the Marvel universe as a whole, multiverse, to use characters that aren't his, but to write original stories with no repercussions. And like, yeah, that makes sense. I think the biggest problem is it's like, but why? Like, I totally get like that. Why would anyone not want to write their own stories with their own characters, or with Marvel characters getting to do anything they want? You want to make Spider-Man's head blow up? Boom, you can do it. You want to take Scarlet Witch and fuse her with Enchantress and make a character? Bam, you can do that here. But like, besides just for Jason Aaron's whim, why are we doing this?
Marvel needed a summer event, and they didn't like the one that they had scheduled, so that's my guess.
Yes. So, yeah, this issue, I didn't get a lot out of it. I actually really did enjoy the art, though. I had to look up the artist. I thought maybe the artist was like a guy that's almost just came over from DC or something, because this feels very much like DC's house art. Much more like DC's house art than Marvel's house art.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I also am discouraged that what was essentially the best story, or the whole reason why issue 1 was so good, issue 2 and 3, that little story arc that Ed McGuinness is drawing, is being relegated again to just 3 panels in the back, 3 pages in the back.
He better be like, Ed McGuinness better have like the entire Heroes Return issue. Like, if he doesn't, then I'm gonna give this event like an F, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, what is he doing?
It's confusing. It's very confusing. But I would say that if you remove all of we're approaching this, I think, with a little bit of baggage too, with
very true,
Jason Aaron's Avenger run and stuff like that. So if you just look at this and just say, hey, I think people are going to look back at this event as a standalone thing. You know, there are a lot of readers that aren't current, and they just say, hey, what's a good run I should read, or something like that. What's a good event? You know, I bet 10 years from now, people are going to be like, you know what, you know, Jason Aaron's Heroes Reborn was a fun standalone event. Don't need to know what's going on. Don't need to know any other context. Just read it, and I'm sure it'll be really great. But for where we're at right now,
no.
not super happy about it.
It just feels really, it feels kind of like an excuse for just an event. Professor Comics, what's up? I'm glad you're here. I don't know if you heard, but we are moving the shows to Sunday, so hopefully that'll help keep you, if you want to, be here more often. We're moving the show to Sunday just because we feel like it helps out everybody. It helps all of our patrons, and it helps us too to kind of like really get into the material and not rush through reading. Yes. The one thing I will say also that I liked about this issue was, so the Blur, what I like is they're pulling little aspects of other heroes and their origin stories and kind of fitting them in to their, their versions of their origins. So like Blur, his Marvel origin really is, he kind of takes a page out of Doctor Strange's book and meets with the Ancient One and learns how to slow down. Right, and that's how he resolves his issue in this book, which I thought was kind of cool. I did like that mystical, almost cosmic backstory, and the artwork really played to that. In a nutshell, Silver Witch blames Blair for the death of her brother. And so she ends up in this book stealing Blair's soul, or his astral plane self. And if you are disconnected from your astral plane self for too long, you die. You wither away. And so she pulls a Heroes Reborn version of House of M and basically goes, no more speed, and kills his speed power. And he's left to like figure out a way to try to get his astral plane self back into his body. And so then we get the origin story of him going to the Ancient One and learning how to like literally slow down and like take things in, because you're able to see more when you really just kind of breathe and let the moment happen. Whereas with Blur, it's like he's constantly trying to figure out how many TVs he has because he forgets, and watching multiple programs and dating multiple women. Like he just kind of loses himself. So I did like that aspect. I think Blur's Heroes Reborn story is a hell of a lot stronger in context to Hyperion's. I felt like Hyperion's unfortunately felt rushed, and this one, like, I thought we got to know Blur a little bit better than like Hyperion. We're like, yes, he's like Superman, he's a dick, he's super patriotic, cool, meh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is funny because we got 2 issues for Hyperion's backstory and getting to learn him. We got the Imperial Guard issue and the main issue. Right. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, you're right. The event seems to be winding down. We're essentially, so we know what the next story is going to be, which actually is kind of cool because we're going to get Thanos and the Power Rings with I don't remember the guy's name, the next character.
I don't either. Quantum or something like that. Essentially,
the Green Lantern equivalent is coming up next. So that sounds fun. But we know where things are going, right? So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I would say if I were to rank them 1 through 3, obviously the first one was 1, and then I'd put this one at number 2, and then Hyperion at 3. If I had to rank them currently of what we already have,
I'd flip it. I'd put this one last for me.
Really? Oh, okay. That, yeah. Like you said in the comic book haul video, it doesn't, it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Oh, okay. I honestly think it's because Hyperion reminds me of Homelander from The Boys, which I find amusing. So that's probably the only reason why.
Nice. Either way, artwork killer. I think that's what carried the book really a lot. But for me personally, I did like the Blur story better than Hyperion's, and they've been kind of teasing that Silver Witch might actually jump out of this event, and I wouldn't be mad about it. I like the character. I like it a lot.
Yeah, one thing that I'm still really hesitant on is having Marvel really start to muddy the multiversity of it all, which is obviously, like, there are people, Miles Morales and
right.
Gwen, we've got these other America Chavez maybe. So, but I don't know. I don't know that I want just a bunch of people from different Earths running around. But
well,
whatever.
I feel like
leave
Marvel
it to DC.
I feel like Marvel is pairing up itself or gearing up itself for another, unlimited or ultimate universe. Maybe call it something different, and then another Secret Wars. Like, it just seems like there's just a kind of like a rinse and repeat.
Horrible.
I know, but it just feels like that's where they're going. We'll get 2 or 3 years of another ultimate, but we'll call it something else universe, and then we'll have another Secret Wars.
The last one was 15 years.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out.
I hope not.
I don't know. It just feels like that's what they're doing because, there's rumor. If you want to jump to DC, there's rumor that another Crisis event is about to happen. So it just feels like it's a rinse and repeat. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying.
What are you talking about?
I heard rumor. I don't know if it was on Twitter or if it was someone that we watched on YouTube, but they said something about they're possibly DC's possibly building up to another Crisis event style comic book event. That
literally just happened.
Correct. I'm just saying. I'm just telling.
What are we even going to reset? That we just restarted with Infinite Frontier.
Remember, if you try to use logic to explain comics, like you said the other day, it doesn't make sense. So, I'm just saying, it feels like that's where we're going, and hopefully, maybe you're right. Maybe Jason Aaron's just going to be contained in this event. He's just doing it for fun. But I feel like Marvel literally had a summer event ready to go in that Dark Ages thing, which was an Elseworld story, and they were like, nah, let's just take some stuff from, and again, we say this all the time, Aaron's Avenger run and just make it a summer event. And that's what this feels like, for better or worse. So I am looking forward to the next issue just because of Thanos is going to be in it. Like, that's one of my favorite villains ever. So we'll see. Anyway, that's Heroes Reborn number 3. We know what's coming. So